Emily Parker had never thought life could change in a single moment, but that morning, standing in the middle of a crowded grocery store, she realized she no longer had enough money for both rent and food. As she stared at the total flashing on the payment screen, her hands trembled, not from hunger, but from fear. And she had no idea that someone a few steps behind her was quietly watching everything. Emily was a single mother trying to raise her 6-year-old son, Liam, while juggling 2 part-time jobs. After her husband passed away in a sudden accident, she had been drowning in bills, responsibilities, and grief. She tried to hide the pain, especially from Liam, but every month the same nightmare returned: rent or food? She could never afford both. That morning, she placed the cheapest bread, a small jar of peanut butter, and a few noodles on the counter. It wasn't enough for the week, but it was all she could manage. When the cashier announced the total, Emily felt her heart sink. She was short. Again. She reached into her purse, searching for coins she knew weren't there. Her cheeks warmed with embarrassment as people behind her grew impatient. "Mommy, it's okay," Liam whispered, tugging her sleeve. "I'm not hungry." The lie in his small voice shattered her. Emily forced a smile, blinking back tears. "We'll be fine, sweetheart." But she knew they wouldn't be. And that's when a calm voice from behind them spoke. "I've got it." Emily froze. She turned to see a man in his late 30s, tall, gentle-eyed, wearing a simple gray jacket. His name, she would soon learn, was Daniel Brooks. "You don't have to," Emily began, but Daniel shook his head. "Please," he said softly. "Let me help." Before she could protest, he handed his card to the cashier. The entire store seemed to pause. Emily felt humiliation, gratitude, confusion, all tangled together. "Thank you, but why? You don't even know me." Daniel smiled kindly. "Everyone needs someone to pay attention once in a while." The next morning, Emily received a message from him. "There's a job opening at my community center. I think you'd be perfect for it." Her heart raced. She didn't allow herself to get excited, yet she found herself dressing in her best clothes and meeting Daniel at the center. There, she interviewed for a front desk and administrative assistant role. The director, a kind woman named Helen, smiled warmly as she reviewed Emily's resume. "You have excellent experience," Helen said. "You've been through a lot, but you're resilient. We value that." She offered Emily the job on the spot. Emily burst into tears, happy tears for the first time in years. Daniel handed her a tissue, laughing softly. "Told you. You just needed someone to pay attention." But the challenges weren't over. Emily still owed 2 months of rent, and the landlord had given her a strict deadline. She worked every shift she could at the new center, but days passed too quickly. The deadline arrived, and she was still short. That evening, as she sat on the floor of their tiny living room, Liam curled up asleep in her lap, tears slid silently down her cheeks. She felt the weight of helplessness pressing down on her again. A soft knock on her door startled her. She opened it to find Daniel standing there, holding a simple envelope. "I know you said you don't want charity," he said. "But this isn't charity. This is a loan on your terms. Pay me back whenever life lets you. No pressure." Emily shook her head. "I can't keep taking from you." Daniel looked at her with a seriousness she hadn't seen before. "Emily, sometimes God places people in our lives at the exact moment we need them. Let me be that person for you." Her voice broke. Why do you care so much?" He took a deep breath. "Because I once needed the same help. And someone did for me what I'm doing for you now." Emily covered her mouth as emotion overtook her. She accepted the envelope. It was exactly enough to save their home. Weeks passed. Emily settled beautifully into her new job. She made friends. Liam started attending after-school programs at the center, and for the first time in years, Emily could breathe without feeling like the world was collapsing. Slowly, her friendship with Daniel grew into something deeper, a connection built on kindness, trust, and shared struggles. He never pushed, never expected anything. He simply supported her. One evening, after she'd completed her first full month of financial stability, Emily approached Daniel outside the center. "I've been thinking," she said softly. He turned. "About what?" "You didn't just help us survive, you helped us live again." Daniel smiled. "You did that yourself. I just stood beside you." Emily shook her head. "No, Daniel. You paid attention when everyone else walked past." She didn't know what came over her, maybe relief, maybe gratitude, maybe something she'd been afraid to admit, but she stepped forward and hugged him tightly. For the first time since her husband's death, she felt safe in someone else's arms. Months later, Emily had repaid most of the loan. She and Daniel grew close, supporting one another as friends, partners, and eventually, as a small family of their own. Liam adored him. Daniel treated him like his own son. Emily never forgot the day Daniel stepped forward in that grocery store, a stranger who cared enough to notice. And she paid it forward whenever she could. Whenever she saw someone struggling, she remembered Daniel's words. Everyone needs someone to pay attention once in a while. Inspiring message. This story reminds us that kindness doesn't have to be loud or grand, it just needs to be real. A simple act of attention can become life-changing. And sometimes the people we meet in our hardest moments are the ones God sends to heal us.